there are times where our production, yes, our production is just so high with everything we do that it affects every level of what we do. And I think everyone is doing what they have to do and taking care of their responsibility. So it may be also issues about production responsibility, if I want to call it that. It's not that big that is with us, but yes, it's about deadlines and goals and so forth.
And you really depend on that. I'm sorry, I'll speak.
Although we're on non-racial stresses, most of the time supervisors are Caucasians. And there is this power under that they have to exhibit. And when an African American becomes a supervisor, most of the time it's the control of the African Americans. That's my experience.
And do you think there is a bigger challenge then for that supervisor who is supervising African Americans? That supervisor who is also African American? Is it more difficult?
Yes. Of course, definitely.
What kind of challenges?
Yes, try to balance.
So the expectations are higher for that?
Much higher. Especially from their supervisor.
Like you're saying, they're expecting a lot from you.
Of course.
And being Hispanic, I mean, it's very difficult, you know, because you want to be fair. And it's hard to be fair because you want to tell them, I understand, I know what you're talking about. I exactly understand where you're going. I'm a minority, but it's difficult because how can you tell them what's needed of them or what you want them to do? You know, it becomes
so higher management has higher expectations, and the subordinates as well have higher expectations.
My experience was that I was promoted to be a supervisor from my peers, coworkers, same level. So it's sometimes you encounter jealousy, sometimes you encounter you have to earn their respect as their supervisor, whereas you used to be their coworkers, so that there's stressors there as well. And I manage administrative assistant for staff, so that particular area is very sensitive in that they, like, okay, who's going to tell me what to do or not to do what you used to do when some time ago.
So now you have, as a supervisor, new challenges that the Caucasian supervisor doesn't have. So when we're talking about these unique stressors and things that affect this population in particular, those are things that were not in your job description. I know what this is going to be happening, right?
And not to mention that there's sometimes it's difficult when you're promoted and you're African American. Sometimes you get most of the stress from coworkers that are African American as well.
It's true.
I found that with my experience.
Very interesting.
I received more support from my white coworkers.
Yes.
I think a lot of interesting aspects is that some of the industries that people are involved in, if the industry itself is non-profitable, there isn't that money to distribute among the, shall we say, the supervisors and the workers as well, because the industry is undergoing a loss. And that includes a lot of stress. Is that I'm working really hard, whether you're Afro-American or you're Latino or you're white or anything else, is that your industry is losing money. Like GM lost $39 billion last quarter, and I don't care how hard you worked or didn't work hard here, your company didn't produce. You weren't successful.
Bottom line.
That's the bottom line. Whether it's racial or not racial, is that sometimes here's that the industry you're in here simply isn't profitable, and when you're unprofitable, that's very stressful for everyone. Which then also
you lose the benefits and the
you lose the benefits, the jobs, the benefits, the pay, and the jobs, and the rest.
Important.
Then you have the big cut, the job cuts.
Right, absolutely. Well, you have raised a lot of very interesting aspects of this, and because I don't have a lot of data that qualitative data from people in your level, middle management and things like that, it's very interesting for me to learn also from your experience and your perspective on this. Let's go to the next one, and these are the psychological and physical demands that the work has. And So it's not only that the work can be tough and hard and stressful because you have to be carrying heavy stuff and lifting things, right? Psychologically, and these are the things that you have been mentioning, you have to account to your supervisor at higher level and lower level. So we have a lot of demands on people, and this causes a lot of stress, and perhaps this is the biggest piece, and it's attached to the idea of your supervisors and your coworkers. One of the things that impressed us when we were looking at the qualitative data of low-wage workers, they're mostly women, very poor women. That study is with people under the 200 line of poverty level. People were willing to quit a job because they had conflicts with their supervisors, sort of feeling disrespected, that kind of thing. And you know, when you read the stories, they need the job. How come they're quitting? Because these levels of demands and that lack of respect and that power, it is at that level and any level. Low-wage workers in particular seem to be sort of crushed with the fact that they have no power whatsoever and that they have no opportunity because they don't have skills or they don't have formal education. So they are willing sometimes to quit because of that. So these are the demands that are also very stressful, and some of the things I have listed here are the piece of that work and the exhaustion that may come from it and how that creates a lot of stress. And later on when we're talking about how it impacts family well-being, this is a big reason how these kinds of situations affect family and psychological well-being. Because we're talking about people being exhausted, coming home with no energy, either because mentally they've been depleted out in their workplace, they've been used up basically, and they come to their personal relationships trying to sustain or maintain an intimate relationship with someone, a marriage, a spouse, a child relationship, parent-child relationship. All those things get taxed. They are challenged by the fact that this work life takes a toll on us, right, on a day-to-day basis. Another thing that happens in some of these jobs that is stressful is the working conditions per se, the physical working conditions, in which there may be risks of injuries, hazards in that environment, and you probably know, and I don't have to tell you the details, that the people that we're talking about today, ethnic minorities or Latinos or African Americans, whatever the label will be, are more likely to be the ones that are affected by injuries in the workplace. I was listening a couple of months ago to the rate of injuries from construction workers and how Latino workers are the ones who are being affected more by these injuries. And it's not because there are more Latinos as construction workers, but when you analyze this data and you control for the numbers of the different ethnic groups, still adjusting for all that, you have that group having the worst injuries, the injuries that are keeping them the longest out of their work or taking them out of the workforce completely because they get disabled because of these injuries. Now, the other factor that is a big stressor is time at work. So we already discussed the stress of supervision and pay and all that. But how about that time, the time that your work demands? Wherever you are, I don't know if you have the kind of job that you do a 9 to 5 and then you're happy to go. Are you in that kind of job? Where you can now say, I'm off.